My surgeon refused to save my life, and the anesthesiologist started helping me die. I can't operate. She's not supposed to be alive. That's when everything changed. I was lying there, heart failing, barely conscious, and I felt it. My oxygen started dropping, not crashing. Controlled, slowed, deliberate. The assistant surgeon said he'd already broken the rules once. The room went silent, and suddenly, my life wasn't in danger because of my condition. It was in danger because of who I was. What they didn't know? I chose that hospital. I chose that doctor. And I didn't come there to survive. I came to make sure none of them could hide anymore. The cold hit me first. Not the kind you feel on your skin, but the kind that settles into your bones and stays there. Operating rooms in Boston always feel like that. Too bright, too clean, too quiet. I fix my eyes on the ceiling lights, white circles blurred at the edges. Floating. Stay with me, Emily. Dr. Michael Tran. Calm, controlled, familiar. I had heard that voice before. Not like this, not this close, but I knew it. I slowed my breathing. Not because I was afraid, because I needed precision. Inhale, hold, exhale, again. BP is dropping. Heart rate unstable. Prep for bypass. Voices layered over each other, efficient, detached, routine for them. For me, this was the end of something I had started a long time ago. Scalpel. Metal touched metal. Soft. Clean. I didn't open my eyes. I didn't need to. There's always a moment. Right before something irreversible, when everything pauses. Most people never notice it. I do. And then, nothing. No movement, no command. Just silence. Doctor? A nurse. Sharp. Confused. No answer. Another second passed. Too long. Dr. Tran, we need to proceed. I felt it before I understood it. Not fear, recognition. No, he whispered. So quiet it almost disappeared. No, that's not possible. Something shifted in the room. Metal dropped onto the tray. The sound cut through everything. I can't continue. The air tightened instantly. What? Another voice snapped. She's crashing. I said stop the procedure. His voice cracked this time. Good. I let a small breath slip out. Slow, controlled, right on time. What are you talking about? The nurse pressed. You're the attending. We don't have another surgeon. There's a conflict. Silence. What kind of conflict? He didn't answer, but I could feel it. His eyes on my ribs, on the mark. I know her. There it was. My lips almost moved. Almost. That's not a legal reason to abort a life-saving procedure, someone argued. It is, if I shouldn't be the one saving her. A pause. Heavy. She's going to code, the anesthesiologist said. Daniel, calm, measured, watching everything. I can stabilize, but not for long. Good. He was right on schedule. Then stabilize her, Dr. Tran said. That's not the protocol. I'm aware of the protocol. Tension sharpened, pressures dropping. 70/40. O2 sat falling. Push phenylephrine, Daniel said. A beat, then movement returned. Controlled chaos. I stayed still, let them believe what they needed. Inside, I counted. 3, 2, 1. My pulse steadied. She's holding, someone said. Of course I was. She won't hold long, Daniel added. A warning or a signal. Then we proceed, the nurse insisted. We don't have time. No. That word cut clean through the room. I won't operate. Silence slammed back down. Then who will, she demanded. No answer, because there wasn't anyone else. That was the point. I let the quiet stretch, let it press in, then I moved. Just enough. A slight twitch in my fingers, barely visible. But he saw it. Daniel. Of course he did. Our eyes met. For a fraction of a second, something flickered there. Recognition trying to form, then gone. Good. Not yet. Doctor, another voice said softly. Dr. Sarah Nguyen. She hadn't needed to speak until now. You've broken rules before. The silence shifted again, sharper. That was different, Dr. Tran said. Was it? The past wasn't gone, just waiting. She'll die, the nurse said again. Sarah ignored her. You know who she is. Closer now. No, he said, too fast. Yes, she replied. You do. My chest rose, steady. This was the moment. I let my voice slip through, weak, controlled, exactly how they expected. Doctor, Tran. The room froze. She's conscious? Someone whispered. I didn't open my eyes fully, just enough. Don't, he said immediately. Don't let her talk. Too late. I've been looking for you. My voice cracked. Perfect. Silence. Heavier now. For a long time. No one moved. Emily, he started. That's not my name. Now. I opened my eyes. Slowly. Letting the light burn in, letting them see me, letting him see me. His face changed. Not a surgeon anymore, just a man. Realizing something he couldn't undo. You recognize it, I whispered. His gaze dropped, to my ribs, to the mark, then back to my eyes. And in that second, I saw it. Not fear, guilt, good. I smiled, just a little, because everything was exactly where it needed to be. My oxygen dipped again, slight, controlled. Daniel noticed. Of course he did. His hand hovered over the line, waiting, choosing. Good. That's where it begins, not with truth, with doubt. I let my voice fall one last time. Barely there. I didn't come here to be saved. A breath. I came to make sure you couldn't hide. The room went completely still, and just like that, the surgery was over, before it even began. I picked him a year ago, not when my condition got worse, not when the hospital started rejecting me, long before that. It started with a photograph. I was 17, sitting alone in my room, scrolling through a medical archive I wasn't supposed to access. I wasn't looking for him, I was looking for myself. There had always been something off. Medical visits that didn't match my records, files that ended too early, conversations that stopped when I walked in. My parents, no, the people who raised me, they were careful, but not careful enough. So I started digging. It took months before I found anything real, a buried article, hospital feature, rising star in cardiac surgery, Dr. Michael Tran. I almost skipped it, until I saw the photo. His arm was turned just slightly, just enough. And there it was, a mark, jagged, star-shaped, left side. My breath caught. I remember touching my own ribs, same place, same shape, not similar, identical. Something inside me shifted that night. Not fear, recognition. I didn't sleep. I pulled everything I could find on him. Residency records, publications, hospital affiliations. Perfect. Too perfect. No complaints, no investigations, no gaps. That's when I understood something. When a system looks flawless, it means someone is maintaining it. And if someone is maintaining it, there's something worth hiding. I didn't confront him. Didn't reach out. I waited. Years passed. I got better. Not at hacking systems, at reading people. Emails, credentials, trust. It's always easier than people think. That's when I found it. My file, locked, restricted beyond normal access, not just hidden, protected. That told me everything. I didn't try to force it open. Instead, I followed the people who could. Admins, archivists, internal staff, patterns, schedules, weak points. It took time. But eventually, someone made a mistake. They always do. A temporary credential, left open just long enough. I didn't rush. That's where people fail. They get in and grab everything. I didn't. I took pieces, slowly, carefully. Birth records, archived logs, internal notes. And then I saw it. 3 births, same night, same hospital. Then a gap. 1 record marked deceased, no body, no transfer, no follow-up, just a signature. Michael Tran. I leaned back, heart steady, mind clear. That's when I knew. This wasn't an accident, this was a decision. And decisions like that don't stay buried forever. I didn't go to the police, I didn't confront my family, because I didn't want answers. I wanted the truth, and those are not the same thing. So I waited, and then my condition got worse. At first, manageable. Fatigue, shortness of breath, then hospital visits, tests, scans. Congenital defect, they said. Progressive. They looked at me like I was unlucky. I knew better. 3 hospitals turned me down. Too complex, too risky. A 4th suggested palliative care. I smiled, thanked them, walked out, because by then, I already knew where I was going. I pulled up his profile again. Updated. Older, still perfect, still hiding something. I booked the consultation. Waited 3 months. When I finally sat across from him, he didn't recognize me. Of course he didn't. To him, I was just another case, another failing heart. "Your condition is severe," he said, scanning the reports. "We need to move quickly." I nodded, played my role. "Can you do it?" I asked. He met my eyes, confident, certain. "Yes." That almost made me laugh, because he had no idea what he was agreeing to. I studied him. Every detail, every reaction, nothing, no hesitation, no recognition. Good. That meant the reveal would hurt more. "I trust you," I said softly. He gave a small nod, professional, distant. But as I stood to leave, his eyes flickered, just for a second, to my side, to the mark, then away. Too fast, too controlled. But I saw it. A crack. That was enough. From that moment on, everything was in motion. Appointments, pre-op tests, clearances, and behind all of it, me, adjusting, guiding, removing obstacles. I made sure no one else could take the case. Subtle, untraceable. By the time the surgery was scheduled, there was only one option left. Him. Always him. Back in the operating room, the lights burned into my eyes, voices blurred, monitors kept their steady rhythm. Dr. Tran stood frozen, still looking at me like he was seeing something he shouldn't. Good. Now he understood, or at least, he was starting to. "Why?" he asked quietly. Not to the room, to me. I held his gaze, let the silence stretch. Then I whispered, "Because you signed it." His face drained. And just like that, the past wasn't buried anymore. It was standing right in front of him, breathing, waiting. I don't remember ever feeling at home. Not really. Our house looked like every other house on the street. White fence, clean lawn, 2 cars in the driveway. Perfect. That's what people saw. Inside, everything was correct. Dinner at 6, lights out by 10, polite conversation, no yelling, no chaos, no warmth. My father liked silence. Measured, predictable. He read the newspaper every morning, like it meant something. Same chair, same time, same routine. My mother smiled often, but it never reached her eyes. She touched me sometimes, lightly, carefully, like she wasn't sure if she was allowed. I noticed things early. Kids do, even when no one thinks they do. I didn't look like them. That part was obvious. But it wasn't just that. It was the way they looked at me. Not like something they made, like something they were responsible for. I didn't have the words for it back then, but I felt it. Every day, there were rules, small ones, unspoken. Don't ask about the past. Don't question documents. Don't open certain doors. I broke them anyway. I was 8. My mother left her office door open. That never happened. Inside, everything was neat. Too neat. One drawer wasn't locked. That's what caught my attention. I opened it slowly, careful not to make a sound. Folders, envelopes, receipts, and then my name, Emily Carter. Typed, not handwritten. I pulled the file out, hand steady, heart not, inside. Documents, medical records, forms, and something else. Statements, monthly, regular, same amounts, same sender. Not a salary, not a gift, a transfer. I didn't understand everything, but I understood enough. This wasn't normal. Footsteps. I froze, closed the drawer, slid the file back, sat on the floor like I had been there the whole time. My mother stepped in, paused, just for a second, then smiled. "Sweetheart, what are you doing in here?" I looked up. "Nothing." She studied me, longer than usual, then nodded. "Okay." But that night, everything changed. The drawer was locked, and the next morning, the rules became clearer. "You should always knock," my father said over breakfast. I nodded, didn't argue, because by then, I had already started paying attention. The transfers didn't stop. They grew, sometimes labeled education support, sometimes medical assistance, always consistent. I stopped thinking of it as money. I started thinking of it as maintenance. I wasn't being raised. I was being kept. That realization didn't break me. It sharpened me. I watched everything. What they said when they thought I wasn't listening. What they avoided. What they never explained. They never talked about my birth. Not once. At school, kids talked about baby photos. Family stories. I had none. When I asked, they said they were lost. Too easily, too quickly. I stopped asking. At 14, I tested them. "Do I look like you?" I asked my mother. She froze, just for a fraction of a second, then smiled. "You have your own look," she said. Not yes, not no, something in between. That was enough. They weren't lying to hurt me. They were lying to protect something, or someone. By 17, I had enough pieces, not the full picture, but enough to understand one thing. I didn't belong there. And whatever I was, someone had made sure I stayed exactly where I was supposed to be, funded, tracked, contained. I gave it a name, an arrangement. Back in the operating room, the air felt heavier, like the walls were closing in. Dr. Tran still hadn't moved. Dr. Sarah stood across from him, watching, waiting. Daniel adjusted something near my IV, careful, precise, too precise. "They funded me," I said quietly. The room stilled. "What?" the nurse asked. I kept my eyes on Dr. Tran. "My life," I continued. "School, medical care, everything." No one spoke, because they understood, at least part of it. "You didn't give me away," I said, my voice steady. "You outsourced me." "Doctor." Sarah closed her eyes, just for a second. That was all I needed. Confirmation. "I was never lost," I whispered. Silence spread through the room. I was placed. Dr. Tran's hand tightened against the table, and for the first time, he looked like he wanted to say something, but didn't know how. Good, because I wasn't done, not even close. I didn't break systems. I learned how to make them open. There's a difference. Most people think hacking is force, code, speed, access. It's not. It's patience. It's watching people long enough until they stop protecting what matters. I started small. Passwords. People reuse them. They think they don't. But they do. Emails were easier. All it takes is the right tone, the right timing, and people let you in themselves. By 18, I stopped asking where I came from. I started proving it. Strategic, not emotional. College was easy. Too easy. Computer science, cybersecurity. I gave them what they expected. Clean work, perfect scores, no trouble. That's what they saw. What they didn't see was what I was building underneath. Access, patterns, people. I didn't go after the hospital system. Not directly. That's where people fail. They attack the wall. I went for the door, and the people holding the keys. Administrators are predictable. Same schedules, same habits, same routines. All I needed was one. Her name was Melissa, mid-30s, overworked, always logged in during lunch. I didn't hack her. I helped her. Password reset, follow-up call, friendly voice. She thanked me, gave me temporary access, limited. But enough. I didn't rush. That's the mistake amateurs make. They get in and try to take everything. I didn't. I took pieces. Small ones. Over time. Birth logs, archived records, internal notes. Patterns started forming. Then I found it. My file. Locked. Not just restricted, protected. That told me everything. If something needs that level of control, it matters. I didn't try to open it, not yet. Instead, I looked at who could. High-level admins, supervisors. There weren't many, but one name kept appearing. Again and again. Access logs, manual overrides, security flags, Dr. Sarah Nguyen. That was the first time I saw her name. At the time, she was just another link, but the pattern was clear. Every time my file moved, she was there, directly, or just behind it. I leaned back, stared at the screen, so she knew, or at least, she knew enough to keep it buried. I should have been angry. I wasn't. Anger makes people careless. I needed control, so I built a timeline. 28 years ago, 1 hospital, 1 night, 3 births, 1 death. No body, no confirmation, just a signature. Michael Tran, an oversight. Sarah Nguyen. That's not coincidence, that's structure. I mapped everything. Names, dates, roles, and one thing became clear. This wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. The kind people don't make alone. I didn't confront them, didn't expose anything, because once you reveal something, you lose control of it. I needed them unaware, so I erased myself. Logs, flags, access traces, gone. Anyone checking later would see nothing. No breach, no anomaly, just silence. Then I waited. Years, long enough for them to forget, long enough for them to believe it was over. But I didn't forget. I prepared. Back in the operating room, the silence had changed. No one was arguing anymore. They were listening. To me. Daniel adjusted the IV again. Slower this time. Careful. He was thinking. Good. Thinking leads to mistakes. You locked it, I said quietly. Dr. Sarah didn't move, but her eyes shifted. Just once. I saw the access logs, I continued. A nurse looked between us, confused. What is she talking about? No answer. They don't mean anything, Sarah said, calm, controlled, but tighter now. They meant enough to hide, I replied. Silence. You kept it buried, I said. Every time it got close, you pushed it back down. Dr. Tran turned toward her. Really looked this time. You knew? He asked. That question hit harder than anything else, because it wasn't for me, it was for her. And for the first time, she hesitated. That hesitation said everything. I let it sit, let it spread, because this wasn't just about me anymore. This was about them, what they did, what they chose, and what they were about to lose. I shifted slightly on the table, felt the weight of my body again, still here, still in control. They built a system, I said softly. No one interrupted. Clean, efficient, quiet. I looked at Dr. Tran. You signed the end of it. Then at Sarah. You kept it alive. The room tightened, like it was closing in. Good. Because once something like this starts to break, it doesn't stop. It spreads. And I was just getting started. The monitors started drifting again. Slow at first, subtle. A slight drop in pressure. A hesitation in rhythm. The kind most people miss. Until it's too late. I didn't miss it. Neither did he. Daniel's hand hovered over the IV line. Not rushed, not panicked. Precise. She's dropping, a nurse said. BP's falling again. I see it, Daniel replied, too calm. Push another dose? She asked. No. That word cut through everything. What do you mean no? She snapped. She's not stabilizing. She is. But his tone didn't match. I watched him, the way his fingers adjusted the flow, barely visible. Just a fraction slower, enough. You're underdosing, I said. My voice came out weak, breathless, but clear. Every head turned. She shouldn't be talking, someone said. Daniel didn't look surprised. He looked irritated. You need to stay still, he said. I smiled faintly. You're trying to keep me unstable. A pause. Then he moved. Too fast. Monitor her airway, he said, ignoring me. You're killing her, the nurse said, stepping forward. No, Daniel replied. I'm keeping her from crashing too fast. That wasn't an answer. That was control. Explain, Dr. Tran said. Finally. Daniel looked up, met his eyes. If she stabilizes fully, he said, she talks. Silence. And if she talks, he didn't finish right away, didn't need to. This doesn't stay in this room. The air shifted. Everyone understood. This wasn't just a surgery anymore. It was exposure. She's a patient, the nurse said. Not a threat. Daniel didn't look at her. You're wrong. I let out a slow breath. There it was, the truth. Step away from the line, Dr. Sarah said. Sharp now, controlled but braking. Daniel didn't move. I'm managing her vitals. You're manipulating them. A beat. Then, I'm protecting us. That word again. Us. I tilted my head slightly, studied him. He still didn't see it. Didn't see me. Not really. Protecting who? I asked. He hesitated, just a second. Then, everyone in this room? I almost laughed. Not everyone. Our eyes met, and this time, something changed. A flicker. Recognition trying to form. Do you know who I am? I asked softly. He frowned. No. Honest. That made this easier. You should. The monitor dipped again. BP 60 over 30, the nurse said. We're losing her. Then fix it, Dr. Tran snapped. I can't if he keeps... Enough, Daniel cut in. You want her alive? Fine. His hand moved, adjusted the line. Flow increased. Immediate response. Pressure rising, someone said. Of course it was. He had control the entire time. The room felt it. That shift. That realization. This wasn't random. It was deliberate. You were deciding, Dr. Tran said slowly. Daniel didn't deny it. I was managing risk. That's not your call. It is when the risk is all of you. Silence again. I let it stretch. Then, I know what you are, I said. His jaw tightened. No, you don't. I do. A pause. Say it, he challenged. So I did. You're not protecting the truth. I took a slow breath. You're protecting your life. That hit. Hard. What are you talking about? The nurse asked. I ignored her. Kept my eyes on him. You think if I live, I said, you lose everything. He didn't answer. Didn't need to. But you don't even know what you're protecting. That got him. A crack. Small, but real. Stop talking, he said. Make me. The room went still. For a second, I thought he might. Push something. End it. But he didn't. Because doubt had already started. And once that begins, it doesn't stop. You should check your records, I whispered. His eyes narrowed. What records? I let a faint smile form. The ones you never questioned. Confusion. Then unease. You've been living someone else's life, I said. The words hung there. Heavy, unavoidable. And you don't even know it. The monitor steadied. But the room didn't. Because now, it wasn't just me unraveling. It was him. And once that starts, there's no going back. No one spoke. Not right away. The monitors held a fragile rhythm. Beep, pause, beep. Controlled. Temporary. Just like everything in that room. Daniel didn't touch the IV again. He was watching me now. Really watching. Trying to see past what he thought he knew. You're lying, he said. Quiet. careful, like he needed it to be true. I didn't answer. I let the silence sit between us. Then I shifted my gaze toward the tablet near the tray. "Open the file," I said. The nurse hesitated. "What file?" "The one under emergency clearance." Dr. Sarah stepped forward. "Don't." Too late. The screen lit up. "What am I looking for?" the nurse asked. "Name, Daniel Park." His jaw tightened. "You accessed my records?" "I accessed everything." The nurse scrolled. Vitals, medication logs, then she stopped. "Wait, this is preloaded," I said. "Not taken here. Prepared." "Why is her file linked to mine?" Daniel asked. No one answered, because they were reading it now, understanding it or trying to. "Similarity. 98%, the nurse read. The room froze. "That's not possible," someone whispered. "It is." Daniel shook his head. "No, this is wrong." "It's not." His breathing changed. Faster, less controlled. "You manipulated the data, he said. "This is some kind of... Look at the source." He did, and that's when it hit him. Because it wasn't from me. It was from a system he trusted, a system he had never questioned. "This doesn't make sense," he said. "It does," I replied. "You just don't remember." That word again, remember. Dr. Tran looked between us. What is she talking about? No one answered, because now it wasn't just about me. It was about him. "You grew up in San Jose," I said. He frowned. "Yes." "Only child?" "Yes." "Perfect medical history." "That's right." I paused, just long enough. "That's what they told you." His eyes hardened. "Stop. You were there that night." "No." "You were." "I would remember." "No," I said quietly. "You wouldn't." The room tightened. "Memory isn't perfect," I continued. "It's shaped, adjusted." "You're not making sense." "I am. You just don't like it." Dr. Sarah stepped in. "That's enough." Her voice was sharp, but not steady. "Is it?" I asked. She didn't answer, because she knew. She had always known. "You signed off on it," I said. Her face tightened. "I don't know what you think you found." "I found what you hid." Silence. "You were in the logs," I added, "every time my file was accessed." Dr. Tran turned to her. "Sarah." That name carried weight now, not authority, doubt. "I didn't have a choice," she said. There it was, the line everyone uses. I almost felt disappointed. "You did." She shook her head. "You don't understand." "Then explain it." Another pause. Longer. Because there was no clean way out, Daniel stepped back, eyes still on the screen. "This says," he started, then stopped. Because saying it out loud would make it real. "Say it," I said. He looked at me, something breaking behind his eyes. "Siblings." The word landed hard. No one moved. No one spoke. Because now, it wasn't theory. It was fact. "That's not possible," he said, but weaker this time. "You were never supposed to question it," I said. My chest rose slowly. "But now you are." He turned to Sarah. "Is this true?" She didn't answer. That was answer enough. I watched him process it. Every second, confusion, denial, fear, then anger. "What did you do?" he asked her. Not me, her. Good, exactly where I wanted him. "You think this is about her?" I said softly. He looked back at me. "It is, but not the way you think." Silence. "You didn't just take a life," I continued. My voice dropped. "You were given one." The monitor kept its steady tone, too steady, because inside, everything was breaking. And once it starts, it doesn't stop. The room didn't feel like a hospital anymore. It felt like something else, something older, something buried too long, finally breaking through. The monitors kept their rhythm. steady, mechanical, but everything else was shifting. Daniel hadn't moved. Not really. His eyes kept drifting, from the tablet to Dr. Sarah, to me, like he was trying to place himself inside a story that didn't fit anymore. "This doesn't prove anything," he said. But his voice didn't believe it. "It proves enough," I replied. Dr. Tran stepped back slightly, his hand pressed against the metal tray. "Sarah," he said, quieter now, "tell me this isn't real." She didn't look at him. She looked at me. And for the first time, there was no control in her eyes, only memory. "You shouldn't have come here," she said. I let out a slow breath. I didn't have a choice. She almost smiled. "Everyone has a choice." I tilted my head. "Did you?" That hit hard, because now we weren't in this room anymore. We were back there. 28 years ago, the hospital lost power. Not completely, but enough. Backup systems came online. Too slow, too late. Not for the maternity wing. 3 deliveries, minutes apart, complications, not rare, but not simple. I could see it, not because I remembered, because I rebuilt it, from fragments, logs, reports, missing pieces, and everything in between. "They told you it was chaos," I said. No one interrupted. Blackout, equipment failure, emergency protocol. Dr. Tran's eyes dropped. "That's what happened. Part of it." I shifted slightly. Pain flared, sharp, real, good. "There were 3 of us," I said. Daniel shook his head. "No." "Yes." I held his gaze. 3. Silence stretched. "You were stable," I said to him. "Strong vitals, no complications." His breathing slowed, like he was trying to hold on to something. "She wasn't," I continued. My voice softened. "The second one." Dr. Sarah closed her eyes. For a moment, she wasn't a doctor. She was just a memory. "They told us she wouldn't make it," she said. The truth came out quietly. Not loud, not dramatic, just tired. "How long?" Dr. Tran asked. "Hours, maybe less." The room held its breath. "And the third?" he asked. She didn't answer, because that's where it changed. That's where it stopped being medicine and became a decision. "You didn't have a record," I said. Now speaking about myself. "No name, no finalized ID." Daniel frowned. "That doesn't happen." It did that night, because the system failed. And when systems fail, people decide. "You had 2 options," I said, looking at Sarah. Her jaw tightened. "Don't." "You could try to save the one who might die." I kept my voice steady. "Or secure the one who would live." Silence. "You chose certainty." Her eyes snapped open. "I chose survival." There it was. Not denial. Justification. Dr. Tran stepped forward. "That's not how it works. We don't choose like that." "We did," she cut in, sharp, final. "We didn't have time. We didn't have resources. And we had parents waiting." Her voice trembled now. "Do you remember that?" she asked him. "Do you remember what that felt like?" He didn't answer, because he did. Of course he did. "You signed the report," she continued. "You declared one deceased." His face went pale. "I followed protocol." "No," she passed. "You followed me." That silence was different. He didn't argue, because somewhere inside, he knew. "We stabilized one," she said. "Transferred identity, adjusted records." Daniel took a step back. "What are you saying?" But he already knew. "You were the one we secured," she said. His eyes widened. "No." "Yes." He shook his head, slow, disbelieving. "No, that's not—" "You were never at risk," I said. He looked at me, then back at her. "You gave me someone else's life." No one corrected him, because that's what they did. "And the one who died?" he asked. His voice cracked. That was the question. The one they buried. the one that built everything after. I let the silence stretch. Then, very quietly, "Are you sure someone did?" The room went completely still, because now the story wasn't finished. It was opening, and what came next was worse. No one moved. Not after that. The monitors kept their rhythm. Steady, mechanical, indifferent, like none of this mattered. But it did. Daniel's breathing had changed. Slower, heavier, like every breath had to push through something now. "You said one died," he said. Careful, measured. "But you just asked if anyone did." I didn't answer right away. I let the silence stretch, let it press into him, into all of them. "That's what the record says," I said finally. "That's not what you're saying." He was catching up. "Good. I'm asking what you believe," I replied. His jaw tightened. "I believe one of us didn't make it." I tilted my head slightly. "Do you?" That was enough. The doubt was already there. All I had to do was let it grow. "What happened to the third child?" he asked. This time, he looked at her. Not me, Dr. Sarah. She didn't answer. Her shoulders were tight, her breathing shallow. "Answer him," I said. She shook her head. "You don't understand what you're asking." "I understand exactly." My voice stayed calm, even. "Say it." Silence. Heavy. "You don't get to come in here and—" she started. "I didn't come in here," I cut in. "I brought you here." That changed everything. The room shifted. Not physically, but something deeper. "Doctor." Tran stared at me. "What does that mean?" I held his gaze. "It means this didn't happen to me." A pause. "I made it happen." The words didn't land all at once. They sank in, slowly, then all at once. "What?" the nurse whispered. Daniel stepped closer. "You did what?" "I chose this hospital," I said. "I chose this team." My chest rose carefully. Pain followed, sharp, real. I made sure no one else could take the case. Dr. Tran shook his head. "That's not possible." "It is. If you know where to apply pressure." Silence. Because now, they were starting to see it. Not just the past, the present. "You manipulated intake?" he asked. "Among other things." "That's illegal." I almost smiled. "So is what you did." That shut him down. Daniel's voice dropped. "You're saying this is all a setup?" "Yes." "For what?" I took a slow breath. "For this." I looked around the room. Every face, every reaction, all of them here, together. "You needed to be in the same place," I said. "Why?" the nurse asked. I didn't look at her. I looked at Sarah. "You know why." Her face had gone pale. "No?" "Yes." My voice stayed low. "You just didn't think it would come back." She stepped back. "This doesn't change anything," she said. "You're still a patient." "No," I cut her off. "I'm the consequence." Silence. Because that word, they understood. "You think exposing us fixes anything?" she asked. "I'm not here to fix anything." A beat. "I'm here to finish it." Daniel shook his head. "This doesn't make sense," he said. "Even if all of this is true, what do you gain?" That question. The only one that mattered now. I let it sit. Let it breathe. "I already gained it," I said. Confusion. "You're still alive," he said. "For now." That's not an answer. "No," I said quietly. "It's not." I turned my head slightly. The edges of the room blurred. Time tightening. Good. We were close. "You think this is about survival," I said. "It's not." Dr. Tran frowned. "Then what is it about?" I met his eyes, held them. Identity. The words settled deep. "You built one," I continued. I looked at Daniel, gave it to him, then at Sarah. protected it, then back to Tran. And you signed off on it. No one spoke, because they couldn't. But you never asked what happened to the one you erased. My voice dropped lower. You assumed she was gone. Daniel swallowed. Wasn't she? That was the moment, the one everything had been building toward. I let the silence stretch. Then, no. The room tightened. She didn't disappear, I said. She grew up. A beat. And she learned. Another. And now. I shifted slightly. Pain surged. Real. Sharp. But I didn't stop. She's here. No one moved. No one spoke. Because now, it wasn't a question anymore. It was truth. And truths like that don't stay buried. The sound was the first thing to fade. Not completely, just enough. Like the world was pulling back, leaving only what mattered. The monitors were still there, beeping, slower now. Voices too, distant, blurry. She's dropping. Get ready, Ott. We're losing her. I let it happen. This was always part of it. Timing mattered. Everything did. My breathing became shallow, controlled, each inhale measured, each exhale intentional. My chest tightened. Heavy. Good. Real enough. What did you do? Daniel's voice cut through, closer, sharper. I turned my eyes toward him. Slowly. Exactly what I needed to. You're crashing, he said. I know. That stopped him. You know? I almost smiled. I planned it. The room shifted. Not confusion anymore. Fear. You don't plan something like this, Dr. Tran said. You don't control. I do. My voice was softer now, but steady. I've been controlling it since before I got here. My fingers twitched. Small, precise. I felt it. The edge. You altered your own condition? Sarah asked. I made sure you couldn't ignore me. Her face tightened. That's not possible without preparation. A beat. Yes. You put yourself on this table, she said. Yes. You risked your life. I calculated it. Daniel stepped closer. You're not in control anymore, he said. You're dying. I held his gaze. No. A pause. I'm right on time. The monitor dipped. Sharp. 40/20. She's crashing. Start compressions. Hands moved. Voices rose. Chaos returned. I let my head fall slightly. The lights blurred, but I stayed aware. Not yet. Stop, Dr. Tran said suddenly. Everything froze. What? The nurse snapped. She's coding. No. His eyes were on me. She's doing something. Good. He finally saw it. What do you mean? Daniel asked. She's not panicking, Tran said. She's not fighting it. Because I wasn't. I never was. You're letting yourself die, Sarah said. I looked at her. Not exactly. The room held its breath. Then, flatline. A long, continuous tone filled the room. Everything stopped. Time of... someone began. Wait, Daniel said. Too late. They were already moving. Protocol ending. I let my eyes close. Darkness came fast, but not complete. Inside, I was counting. 3, 2, 1. My body stayed still, cold, unresponsive. Exactly as expected. Footsteps shifted, voices lowered. She's gone. This shouldn't have happened. We should have... Regret. It always comes after. Daniel's voice again. Closer. No. Something's wrong. Good. He was the first. His hand touched my wrist. Checking. Waiting. Nothing. Exactly what he expected. Then, I moved. Just a twitch. Small. Precise. His breath caught. I opened my eyes. Slowly. Light flooded back in. Every face turned, frozen. Impossible. I looked at them, one by one. Tran, Sarah, Daniel. All of them. And then, I smiled. Not weak. Not broken. clear. "You thought this was about surviving," I said. No one moved. It wasn't. My voice steadied, stronger now. It was about ending something. Daniel shook his head. "You died." I saw. No. A pause. I stopped. Silence. Then, I let her die. The words hung heavy. "What are you talking about?" Tran asked. I held his gaze. Emily Carter. No one breathed. "That was never me." The room tightened. That identity was assigned. I shifted, sat up slowly, and now it's gone. Daniel stared. "Then who are you?" That question. The only one left. I let the silence stretch. Then, very quietly, "I'm the one you erased." Their faces changed. All of them. Because now, it wasn't confusion. It was realization. And realization doesn't go away. I swung my legs off the table. The room didn't stop me. No one did. Because they couldn't. Not anymore. "I wasn't supposed to live," I said. I stood, steady, stronger than before. "So I made sure none of you forget that I did." I turned toward the door, paused, just for a second. Then, I didn't just survive that night. A glance back, at all of them. I was the reason one of them didn't. Silence, absolute. And with that, I walked out, leaving everything behind except the truth. And the damage it would never stop causing. There's a moment in every operating room when everything is supposed to go exactly as planned. No surprises, no hesitation, no mistakes. Because 1 second can decide who lives and who doesn't. But what if the person holding your life in their hands suddenly stops? What if your surgeon looks at you and realizes you were never supposed to be alive? That's what happened to me. In the middle of a life-saving surgery, my doctor froze. Not because of a complication, not because of my condition, because of something he recognized, something he thought was buried, something that should have never come back. And in that moment, I realized this was never about saving my life. It was about exposing the truth, a truth that had been hidden for nearly 3 decades, a truth that tied every person in that room together. And once it came out, none of us were walking away the same, especially not them.